Good afternoon and welcome back to the Snakebite, your home for all things FSC athletics. I'm Jillian Kurtz.
And I'm Andrew Pauling. Here's what's going on in the world of FSC athletics. Both the men's and women's basketball teams were eliminated from the NCAA South Regional Tournament following exceptional regular seasons. On the men's side, the Mocs were eliminated in their semifinal game against the Lynn Fighting Knights by a final of 77-88. The team finished their season with a 25-8 record while going 14-6 in conference play. For the women, the Mocs were eliminated by the Nova Southeastern Sharks in the regional championship game by a final of 63-84. The team finished with a 30-4 overall record and went 18-2 in conference play. Their 30 wins were the most in program history. Now, Jillian, as someone who followed the teams closely, what did you see from those two squads this year?
I think both teams performed really well throughout the entire season. They really blew away their competition at a ton of games. I'm sure both went into regionals expecting to win and move on to the Elite Eight, but they both ultimately came up short.
And then going into next year, let's look ahead for a second. Both had strong seasons, but what are they going to have to look to improve on, and who's going to have to step up for those teams next year?
I think losing some key seniors is really going to hurt the teams for a little bit, but there are some really important key returners that will be sticking with the Mocs, such as DeAndre Campbell and EJ Damberville on the men's side, and Julia Janke and Mackenzie Steele on the girls. I'd also like to congratulate our coworkers, Camille Giardina and Slinky Jones, as well as the other seniors on the teams for their outstanding careers. Now let's check into softball and baseball. The softball team had a tough go on things at Rollins over the weekend, getting swept in the three-game series while being shut out twice. They went on to split a doubleheader against Minnesota Duluth, picking up a 7-2 win in Game 1. A recap of their Tuesday doubleheader against St. Michael's and American International is available on fscmocs.com. In baseball news, the Mocs continued their up-and-down season with 4-11 and 7-8 losses against Eckerd before picking up a 17-1 win in Game 3. The Mocs took on Flagler at the Road last night, and that recap is also available on fscmocs.com. Andrew, what have you seen from the varsity teams as of lately?
Well, on the baseball side of things, more or less just some inconsistencies. They lost the first two games against Eckerd before absolutely blowing them out of the water in Game 3, and you don't really expect that to lose the first two and then win the first one by 16 runs for the score differential. Missing guys like J.J. Necros hurt them. The starting pitchers have struggled to throw strikes a little bit more than we anticipated going into the year. Dylan Costas missed most of the year with an injury, and Mike Pelaez being out for the whole season with Tommy John definitely hurts, him being their primary setup man they're going to have. Obviously, missing Pablo Cabrera also isn't ideal, but Colin Kaepernick has stepped up really nicely for this team, the freshman playing shortstop. He's played really well, so maybe missing the leadership more so than the production because of how well he's played. There's still a few games over 500, so it's not time to hit the panic button or anything, but they've struggled in conference play, and that's something that they're going to have to really look to improve on if they want to make another run at a regional title.
Well, hopefully getting some of those guys back from injury helps the team along. Let's check in on lacrosse. The women's lacrosse team improved to 7-1 on the season and is riding a 6-game win streak following a 20-7 victory against Slippery Rock and a 16-4 win against Florida Tech. They play tomorrow in a 7 p.m. home game against Belmont Abbey. On the men's side, the Mocs picked up wins against Westminster and Lynn with final scores of 14-13 and 13-9 respectively. They are back in action on Friday in a 1 p.m. game against Belmont Abbey and a noon game against Colorado Messi on Sunday.
In beach volleyball news, the Mocs are now 4-7 on the season after picking up wins against Carson Newman and Huntington last week. I had a chance to speak with head coach Hyrum Keime on Monday, and here's what he had to say about the season so far. Well, I'm here with Coach, and after a 4-7 start this year, what has this team done differently that's made them better than last year's team?
One of the big things is just the unity of the team. We feel like everybody gets along with each other really, really well. The returners have embraced the freshmen, and the freshmen have just jumped in and followed the examples of the returners.
And as you just said, the returners embracing the freshmen. How have the returners on your team developed into leaders over their year plus in the program?
I think they were able to see what my expectations were for them, and then they were able to meet them and exceed them in most cases, and then they saw it and they just bought in. They've done a nice job of drinking all the Kool-Aid.
And then for your freshmen, you had a large freshman class. How have they performed for you so far this season?
I think amazing. They've done a great job of coming in and doing a nice job. We have three freshmen in our lineup right now, and a bunch of them just battling for those lower spots. So very, very happy with that.
And then for you guys upcoming, you have a doubleheader tomorrow at St. Leo. What have you guys been working on? What's your game plan going into those two matches?
So we've worked a lot on serving. That's one of the big focuses we had a couple weeks, and now it's been setting and eye work. A lot of being able to see the opponent's side so that we can anticipate. Seeing that there's only two people on a side, they need to be able to anticipate so they can get to a better position and cover the entire court.
And then after that doubleheader tomorrow, you guys have home matches, doubleheader on Saturday, another doubleheader on Monday. So that's a lot of your home games coming in a very short span. What are you guys going to do to prepare for those?
Same thing. We're going to come out here, work really hard, make sure we're really working on the eye work that I'd mentioned before. We're also going to get to see Stevenson at St. Leo, so we'll get to play them on our home turf.
All right, well, thank you for the time, and good luck with all those matches this upcoming week.
Thank you.
The Mocs play at home on Saturday at 10 a.m. versus Stevenson and 2 p.m. versus South Florida. They take on Lincoln Memorial and North Alabama on Monday at 3:30 and 5 o'clock respectively.
The women's golf team finished 5th out of 15 teams in the Peggy Kirk Bell Invitational last week. The next tournament for the Mocs will be the Berry Invitational, taking place in Miami Lakes on Monday the 25th and Tuesday the 26th of next week. On the men's side, the Mocs finished 12th out of 18 teams in the Southeastern Collegiate last week. They just wrapped up play in the Bobcat Invitational and will be competing in the Agronaut Invitational at the start of April.
In men's tennis, the Mocs are now 6-9 on the season following their loss to Sonoma State this past Sunday. They take on Lynn University on the road in a 3 p.m. match this upcoming Sunday. The women's tennis team has gone 10-1 through their first 11 games of the season, heading into Tuesday's matchup versus NJIT. The result of that game can be found on fscmocs.com. The team is back in action on Thursday at Embry-Riddle and then returns home for a 3 p.m. game against the number 5 ranked Academy of Art on Monday. Thanks for joining us this week on the Snakebite. Megan and Slinky will be back with you guys next Wednesday at 3. I'm Andrew Calling.
And I'm Jillian Kurtz. Thanks for tuning in.